Who is Dr. Destroyo? Who is Dr. Destroyo? Who is Dr. Destroyo? Who is Dr. Destroyo? Who is Dr.
Who is Dr. Destroyo?
Who is Dr. Destroyo? Who is Dr. Destroyo? Who is Dr. Destroyo? I am Dr. Destroyo. From the Death by Media Man podcast show, it's Dr. Destroyo. The story of the world's first true supervillain. We're telling Dr. Destroyo in sequence every 2 weeks. So if you haven't listened to the first episodes, go back and start there. Then, this will all make a lot more sense. Chapter 67. A few weeks became a month, and then a couple months more. A couple of months of biding my time. A couple of months of counting my cash and considering my options. A couple of months of push-ups, stretching, and even a bit of light jogging. Over that time, Rex Challenge's team of heroes, which had started out as a few nerds on an internet forum, grew into a worldwide movement. Everybody wanted to be a part of it. Everybody wanted a piece of the action, and the glory, and me. Mr. Scorpio was a real hero, and he may have accidentally birthed the first real costumed super criminal, Rex Challenge explained in a video on the front page of his website. And now the world's first real villain, Dr. Destroyo, has caused the creation of the world's first real super team. A global consortium of individuals pledged to making a real difference in this world by putting an end to this madman's reign of narcissistic terror. I had to admit, I loved Narcissistic Terror. That would have been a great name to use if I hadn't been Dr. Destroyo. The Narcissistic Terror. Kicking down doors and burning up bridges. Coming to your town. Looking good and feeling bad. Globally, the group numbered into the hundreds, but I had no idea what Rex Challenge's local cavalcade of costumed street soldiers was looking like. Were they amateurs or professionals? Hard cases or kids playing dress-up? What I knew was that I didn't know enough. And what I knew was that I was going to have to find a way to find out more. I was going to have to make a plan, a scheme, a plot, something nefarious and dastardly. So I exercised, and I meditated, and I took drugs, and I thought about ways to end my enemies. Part 3. The Team. Chapter 68. Rex Challenge stood at the head of the table. "I'm Rex Challenge," he said, so proud and confident. "And I am a costumed crime fighter." The room burst into almost spontaneous applause. "So here we all are," Rex said, looking about the room happily, "and I think this is our best turnout yet." He took his seat, still at the head of the table. "Maybe we should go around the rooms, that way everybody can introduce themselves. Tell us a little bit about yourself, or whatever you feel like." Rex Challenge's public headquarters was located in the rougher part of town, over on the east side of the city. The place was basically a little one-room office located above a 24-hour mom-and-pop convenience store called the Quick Buy Mart. The meeting room didn't even have its own bathroom. The costumed crime fighters had to use the toilet downstairs, in the back of the Quick Buy Mart. The proprietors of the downstairs convenience store were an elderly Chinese couple, Andrew and Bao Chu. At first, the Chus were unsettled by the presence of masked Avengers in their building, but they quickly grew accustomed to the strangely dressed men and women and the vast quantities of snacking supplies the heroes were constantly consuming. Rex Challenge kept a few bowls of chips and candy out on the meeting table at all times, a practice which brought mixed responses from the rest of the loose-knit team. Some were more than happy to spend the meeting munching potato chips and jelly beans while Rex went over various aspects of his plans to take down Dr. Destroyo, while other members felt that the snacks were a distraction and that the consumption of junk food played into the costumed crime fighters' reputation for being a bunch of laughable, out-of-shape nerds playing dress-up. The meeting room looked over a bad part of town, where ambulances were more commonly seen than police cars, though each were needed in about equal quantity. The meeting room itself had 4 dull, eggshell walls and a few square feet of murky gray windows looking out over the back alley, allowing the team to bear witness to the traffic of a fair number of middle-aged sex workers and scruffy men living out of shopping carts, as well as a steady stream of teenagers smoking cigarettes and weed and crack cocaine and occasionally huffing deeply on shoplifted aerosol cans. The room was rented under Rex Challenge's name and paid for out of an account where he put all donations made towards his secret society of heroic personas. Most of the money came from online members who couldn't come around to play locally. Some rich kid living in Japan had emailed over about 15 grand right after a video of the meeting room went up, and the rest of the donations had just been a bonus after that. The table in the center of the meeting room was a big, heavy monster, which the room's previous renter had purchased and then abandoned after they'd presumably been unable to disassemble and remove the thing. The chairs gathered around the table were cheap and plastic, but Rex Challenge took it as a source of personal pride that they weren't folding chairs. Folding chairs would have just seemed a little sad, he admitted proudly at one point for no discernible reason. After their first few meetings, a few members would bring cushions to sit on, as the hard plastic seats really did no favors to the tailbone. Almost every meeting began with a trip around the table, each member introducing themselves and explaining whatever details they felt were relevant to their identity. "You can just say whatever you think is necessary," Rex explained amicably. No pressure. Rex always went first, and he always sat at what could be considered the head of the table. He never came right out and called himself the leader, but he was always starting things off. "You all know me," Rex said with a grin that looked pretty practiced. "I'm Rex Challenge, and I put this team together." They were a team, but a team with no name. That was just one of the many things they had trouble agreeing on. Counting Rex, there were 9 official in-town members, all of whom had their own reasons and means to come to the meetings. Most of the crime fighters wore costumes which covered their bodies entirely, giving no indication of their ethnicities or ages, though guesses could be made based on their voices. A couple of the costumes were significantly less concealing, though, showing off skin and various forms of physiques. "I'm, the Omega Frequency, the Audio Avenger," an average-sized guy who sounded like he was in his mid-20s. "I use sonic weapons to fight crime, and I don't really have a good origin yet, but I was thinking about saying that I was inspired by, my musical heroes, to do good." He wore a green and purple costume that looked a bit like a diving suit, with a big pair of bubble lens goggles over his eyes and heavy black boots on his feet. In the center of his chest was a large arrow which pointed to the left, the symbol for the play button on musical devices, and hooked up to the front and back of his suit were tiny but powerful speakers capable of blasting out the tracks on his costume's built-in MP3 player. I'm Power Priestess. She was a robust, middle-aged Caucasian woman whose most defining features were a massive volcano of thickly curled, bleach-blonde hair that seemed to erupt from the back of her head, and an E-cup push-up bra that projected ahead of her like a pair of blimps. "Isn't this fun?" she bubbled enthusiastically, smelling just faintly of gin. Her costume was a thin pink catsuit, which she filled right up to the point of bursting, and on her face, she wore a thin domino mask, which was covered in frills, as though it had been designed more for a fancy masquerade ball than for crime fighting. The Sneaker. A slim, short kid dressed in all black, with a featureless black mask and hood. No further explanation. He rarely spoke and mostly just sat silently at the meetings, cracking his knuckles during any lulls in the conversation. The Forcefulness. A young woman dressed in bullet-resistant gear and armed with wrist-mounted cans of mace. 20 years old, from Japan. I do not speak good English, but I am here to fight crime, yes? The Forcefulness seemed to have no connection to the Japanese member who'd sent the large donation, but it was hard to be sure, since the Forcefulness was uncomfortable communicating in spoken English. She wore a dark gray costume with white highlights, and her mask was a featureless covering that had a long silver braid attached to the back of the crown. The Master. A large black man with a deep scar running along the left side of his jaw and on down his neck. And the Plan. A slim little Caucasian guy with a short gray ponytail. Together, the big black man and the little white guy were the Master Plan, a gay duo in their mid-40s. And we're dedicated, the Plan explained, to eradicating fear and misery from these city streets. The Master Plan wore matching costumes themed around military fatigues, emblazoned on the backs with their own logos, which was an indecipherable smear of colored shapes fighting for space and recognition. On their faces, they wore thin domino masks, which didn't do much to disguise their identities. The Night Judge. A slightly paunchy male somewhere in his 20s or maybe early 30s. His costume was a torn black robe, worn atop some sort of tight black bodysuit, and his voice was a constant low growl, like he had too much phlegm in his throat. He covered his face with the mask of a hangman, and he wore dark makeup so his skin couldn't be seen through the eye holes of the mask. Professor Panguish, another male of an indeterminate age. Global warrior from the year 36,009, here to save the future from the past. Aside from the Master, the Professor was the largest person at the table, and the Professor was certainly the chubbiest, something his skin-tight suit did nothing to disguise. The Professor's costume was a gaudy combination of black and orange body stockings, with a long black cape he wore draped around his shoulders like a cloak. His face was covered with a large white stocking, which he could apparently see through, and the stocking had a large question mark drawn on it in felt marker. The Professor's voice was an even lower, more theatrically coarse growl than the Night Judge's throaty mutterings. I'd like to go on record once again, the Night Judge snarled to the Professor, as saying that I am insulted by both your name as well as your origin story. Back off, man, the Professor snarled in response. I don't need your shit. But it doesn't make any sense, the Night Judge complained. What the hell is Panguish? It makes it sound like you're part penguin. It's a combination of pain and anguish, Professor Panguish explained patiently. I'm a professor of pain and anguish. And you're a warrior from the future, stated the Night Judge. Yes, Professor Panguish explained patiently. I am. No, said the Night Judge, you're not. Yes, I am. Listen, fucker, the Night Judge growled. This isn't bullshit for some of us here. We're not all just playing dress up, okay? This is real. People are fucking dying, and it's no goddamn joke. Lighten up, Night Judge, said the plan. Yeah, take it down a notch, agreed the Master. The Night Judge gnashed his teeth with tense fury, doing his best to convey that he was made out of pure TNT and ready to go off. I don't like this guy's bullshit lies, okay? I'm not here to sell crap stories to you guys. I'm here to kick some ass. I'm here to take down some real criminals. That's what we're all here for, Rex agreed. Then make this retard get a proper origin, the Night Judge spat angrily. Hey now, the plan objected. You shouldn't use the word retard like that, Power Priestess put in. We're supposed to be heroes. Yeah, that's right, the Master agreed. Watch your fucking mouth, Night Judge. Blow me, the Night Judge muttered, settling back into his cheap plastic chair. Night Judge, I've told you before that your lone wolf antics have no place at this table of teammates, Rex challenged, tersely informed his comrade. I know you're a man on the edge with a devil-may-care attitude and a taste for adventure matched only by your own ruthless sense of justice. But that doesn't mean you can turn on a teammate just because you doubt the authenticity of his backstory, okay? This is a place of learning, healing, and sharing. We save the rough stuff for those who've got it coming to them, all right? The Night Judge growled under his breath and nodded his arms across his chest. So, Rex continued, first order of business. Does anybody here have any new patrol stories they'd like to share with the group? We met the nicest elderly couple on patrol last. Was it Thursday? The plan looked to his partner for confirmation. It was Thursday, the Master confirmed. We met the nicest elderly couple while we were on patrol last Thursday, the plan repeated. And not only did they tell us how much safer we were making them feel, but they also agreed that, not to beat it into the ground, but they agreed with what I've been saying all along, that t-shirts are a good idea. Still thinking over the t-shirts, Rex told the plan. That's terrific, Rex, the plan said, rolling his eyes with a friendly smile. You keep thinking about it. I was talking to some of the working girls in my neighborhood, Power Priestess put in, and I told them to get in touch with me if they get any weird Johns who, wear the doctor's mask, or, if they hear of anybody who likes to be called doctor. I don't know if any of them will really call me back, but I hope so. Her enthusiasm was almost intimidating, which made it the only almost threatening thing about her. That's great, Rex said happily. Just great. Hey, said the Night Judge. I've got a patrol story I'd like some verification on, if that's okay. Rex said uncertainly. I'm not really sure what you mean by that, Night Judge. It's about the Omega frequency, said the Night Judge. What up, brother? Hey, said the Omega frequency. You said you've been up around the far north end of town, right? Main and 16th, up around there? Yeah, sure, man, said the Omega frequency. Around there, yeah. Then how come when I was up around there last Saturday, asked the Night Judge, I didn't run into one person who'd ever seen you or heard of you? The Night Judge paused dramatically and then followed up with, You so busy watching the rooftops you ain't got any time for the man on the street? Or maybe you just been talking to us about the idea of a patrol. Is that the case, Omega Frequency? Are you protecting the idea of your neighborhood rather than actually going out and walking the blocks? Whoa, man, the Omega Frequency said, throwing his hands up defensively. What the hell is this, dude? I'm just trying to help out, same as you. Yeah, the Night Judge growled, except I actually do stuff. Hey now, Rex objected. We all do stuff, the plan told the Night Judge, in a low tone of voice that mocked the Judge's growl. We just don't all measure our dicks against our patrol routes. Gentlemen, Rex coughed angrily, this is meant to be a team meeting, not a circle of accusations. I'm sorry, the Night Judge said. It's just, I work really hard, going out on patrol, giving people help, making care satchels that I hand out to the homeless. And I know you guys laugh about it, but I really do confront drug dealers. I learn their names and who they are, and I talk to them. And it's scary. It's totally scary. These guys, they could just knife me or whatever at any time. The night judge stared down at the surface of the table. It's fucked up. And then I gotta come in here, and I know you guys mean well and everything, but I just wonder sometimes. What do you wonder, night judge? Rex asked softly. I wonder, the night judge said, raising his gaze up from the table and staring out at his teammates, if we're ever gonna stop Dr. Destroyo. Dr. Destroyo is written and produced by Hank Pattison for the Death by Media Man podcast channel. You can subscribe to the Death by Media Man podcast on iTunes and SoundCloud. If you enjoyed this, please leave us a like or a comment and tell a friend. And if you'd like to support the Death by Media Man channel with your money, there's a link to our Patreon in the description of this program. Thanks so much for listening, and we'll see you in 2 weeks for the next installment of Dr. Destroyo.